Welcome to the Not Superheroes Against Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. Man, right now, I'm sure most of us, right, unless you're on the West Coast, I guess Cali, my Cali family, y'all don't have to worry about it too much. But shoot, right now, dealing with the weather being crazy with the snow, might get snow. I don't know yet. We'll see how this weather is going to be. But I hope you guys stay safe. Hopefully you guys are doing well by the time you listen to this. Hearing this, hopefully you guys are in great spirits. Before we start, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. You guys know, like always, I appreciate the support. You guys know I don't take it lightly at all. Now with that being said, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to have this guy here, man. It's been in the works for a little bit, and so I'm glad to have you on, Anthony. How are you today, man?
Hey, I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Like you said, this a long time coming. Pretty much started since like the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
Trying to get all of this, set together. Yeah, I'm real happy to be here. A whole lot has happened in these past couple of weeks.
Hey, that I'm hoping they're all good things.
Mostly.
All right, hey, then that's good, man. So what I like to do icebreakers, bro. And before we get into your story and things like that, man, what I want to ask you as an icebreaker, what was your first thought when you found out you was about to be a father?
I'm not gonna lie. My first thought, I was like in the middle of eating Zaxby's, and I looked, and when she told me that that she was pregnant and everything,
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, okay, that's cool, and went back to eating. Like, I get, like, for me, I wasn't worried. Just my upbringing and everything like that. I was mentally already prepared to take on that role. So I had no. Alexa's going off.
So it's time to party.
But yeah, I wasn't bothered at all. I was ready. I was ready the moment she said it.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's weird because most people, like, they freak out, they get in their head and stuff like that. So, like, what helped you to be so calm about it? Were you not doing like the rest of us where we're, we freaking out? Like, what helped you not to be that way, bro?
So, honestly, I'm the oldest of three.
Okay.
My baby sister is about 12 years younger than me.
Okay.
And I spent pretty much all of my teenage years kind of like co-raising her with my mom. Her father wasn't, my baby sister's father wasn't around, never was around. So I was big brother / kind of like acting father figure, for those early years of my sister growing up. And on top of that, I was really active in my youth church. And within that organization, being one of the older members, like being one of the team members, and having the other teens and then the younger kids too, I was always seen as one of those people, one of the younger kids that was like mature for their age.
Yeah.
And I had at one point, I don't know, I think I was maybe like 16, 17 years old. We had a big youth thing. It might have been like a fall festival, like for Halloween or something like that. And in our church gymnasium, there was a couple of kids that were in two separate areas, but they were both playing by themselves. Mm-hmm. And one of them was playing basketball by themselves, so I went to go join them and everything. And just, because I could tell that they were like lonely.
Yeah.
And I pretty much spent the next 2 hours with that one kid playing basketball with them and doing all the running around in the gym. And I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm just thinking, I don't want this kid to be lonely. And eventually other kids started seeing me playing with them, and then they started playing with each other. And then once enough kids got around, then I could go leave and go do something else. So apparently one of the parents, or the parent of that kid, had knew me and knew who my mom was, told my mom that he's going to be a great father, he's going to be a great husband one day. My mom came back that night and told me, and it made me smile. Because that's something for me, even at that age, that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be somebody, a good husband to somebody, a good father to somebody.
Yeah.
And of course, I was going to wait my time, for that to happen. But that
Mm.
made me feel good that somebody else saw that role in me at such a young age. So I knew, pretty much from then and then raising helping raise my sister, I kind of just knew, whenever that time comes, I'll be ready. Even if I'm not ready, I'll get ready.
Mm. So was that like you said, which is dope because I remember it's a similar story for me. Like I remember for whatever reason, man, like the younger kids will always gravitate towards
Hmm.
me, right? I always heard like, hey, you'll be a good father, good husband. So
Yeah.
it's funny you say that. And I also served in the church in the in the youth ministry. So
Hmm.
it's funny you say that too, man. So I'm like, dang, that's crazy. I wanted to ask you like, what was that example? Was it your dad, or did you see other men, or was it just like this is strictly just based off of how you were feeling? How did that what's the word I'm looking for?
How do they grow and come about?
Yeah, like how did you become that type of person? You know what I mean? Where before you even had kids, right? You just this person, which again, y'all, from all the things I hear, man, he is a great dude, of course, too. But just like, how did you become that? You know what I mean? Was it strictly from your mom? Like, where did that come from? What maybe male influences did you have?
Honestly, little backstory. I did at a point in my life, for my early years, I had my dad in my life.
Mm,
Unfortunately, him and my mom, when I was a kid, didn't work out. They ended up
yeah,
separating, not divorcing, but separating.
yeah.
And then the year after they separated, he passed away.
Mm,
So, and I was I had just seen him a couple of months before. He
mm,
had, some type of injury. He didn't recover properly, and eventually he, passed away from that. And but after that, after he passed, I didn't have anybody in my life that was a father figure.
mm,
Pretty much, honestly, until my adult years. And so I didn't have that influence, and even in just growing up over the years, I didn't have anybody that I could turn to for advice. Like, yeah, I could ask my mom about some things, but there are things that, as a man, that I had, or as a man, or as a growing young man, I didn't have the answers for, and I didn't have
mm.
the resources, even within like different churches and family members. I didn't feel comfortable asking people, about these different situations in my life.
Mm,
Um, so my focus pretty much, I think, came from I'm a nerdy kid. I'm not
yeah.
really trying to be, and at this point, we had moved from New York to Atlanta. I wasn't
Okay.
trying to be out here in the streets. And by around, a couple of years later, I've got my baby sister now. So I want to be a good big brother. Anything else, I'm going to be a good big brother. And of
Mm,
course, me being the only boy in my family, I got two sisters and my mom. I'm a teenager, and I'm living in this big city, and there's nothing but chaos and everything around me. And of course, I go fall into the wrong crowds and have the wrong people around me and stuff like that. I gave my mom a lot to work with, to deal with. I was my mom's problem child. I
mm,
also was glad as I got older that I was the one that made all the mistakes so that my sisters don't do, or my sisters see what I'm doing wrong and they don't do it.
yeah.
And I kind of like got to a point in my older teenage year, in my later high school years, where it was just I'm not really trying to make mistakes, but if they're gonna happen, I'd rather them happen with me than with them.
Yeah.
So I always kind of just took it upon myself to be the responsible one while I'm still trying to figure myself out too.
Mm, that's good, man. So, how, excuse me. So I know we talked about when you first became a father, and even what kind of helped you to be who you are today. How many kids do you have right now?
3.
Okay, so you have three beautiful children, right? And real quick, too, guys, before we're gonna dive into something I feel like um, can maybe be, I guess, I don't know if it's triggering or I guess emotional for just us as fathers because this is a conversation when it comes to separation, custody, different emotional struggles, right? Just things that as fathers we can deal with at times. And feel like the part that's not talked about. So this is more so for the fathers that's dealing with maybe something similar, and want to encourage y'all to make sure y'all know that y'all not alone. Now with that being said, man, like you said, like your mom and dad separated, right? And from my knowledge, that relationship, or not from my knowledge, I know that relationship ended, right? And so I wanted to ask you, man, how, I guess, like how were you able to process that, right? You have your kids, and then you and your lady at the time aren't working out, and like in the back of your mind, you were like, dang, like this isn't what I wanted, but this is where it's heading. Because, right, and again, you were young, so you don't know what happened with the disconnect with your mom and your dad. But was it one of those things like, dang, I was trying to prevent this, or how? Well, like, what was the process through that?
So me and the mother of my kids, like we had a really good friendship. Now we met through mutual friends. We met through my roommate at the time, and we kind of like clicked. Like compared to everybody else that were kind of like in that circle,
Yeah.
um, her and I clicked. Like we were the ones that you could consider like inseparable,
Mm.
and that was mostly it was like a relationship standpoint. For it was a friendship standpoint too, and it was just kind of like she didn't judge me for me being who I am. She didn't really treat me different very often. She
Yeah.
was a bit, well, not a bit more. She was definitely more of the firecracker type compared to
Yeah.
me, like who's really, really calm.
Yeah.
Um,
Water
so
and fire.
yeah, yeah. So it's like you can understand, where things could, come to a head at times.
Yeah.
But where the disconnect really was our families.
Mm.
Our families are not polar opposites,
Mm-hmm.
but if they ever met each other, I don't think it would end very well.
Got you.
And the difference between her and I was me, I was very mature for my age. She
Yeah.
was a couple of years younger, and because of her personality, she didn't really take to too many things, different well. She wasn't the
Yeah.
type to really receive constructive criticism,
Mm.
and she was also the type of person that didn't necessarily have the best relationship with her family. And she told me about this when we first got together. Um, but I've always been a family oriented person, so my thought process, just I don't know, maybe just as a guy, was to see if I can fix it just a little bit,
Yeah.
and that worked until it didn't. And I kind of
Mm.
got to see it firsthand at the toxicity between her and her family, and she was really just kind
Mm.
of like, I told you so and everything. And at that point, I kind of understood to back off of that.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm now a part of this family. It's kind of too late.
Yeah.
And because of the relationship that she had, specifically with her mom, it
Mm.
was, she needed to feel accepted. She needed to
Mm.
feel like they were on her side. And for that to happen, they were very manipulative, and she was, very prone to just taking in whatever it is that they say.
Yeah.
And not everybody has everybody's best interest at heart. On my side of things, and this is a lot of people don't admit their faults. Um, Having dealt with this for years now, I've kind of learned you know where my faults lie too. And while I didn't necessarily crave my family's acceptance and attention, I was very much a yes man. If
Mm.
somebody needed something, I was right there to help out. If my mama needed me to go and jump through this hoop, I was jumping through this hoop. And
Mm.
it was just like I was always willing to help somebody else. And I wasn't always, as much as I thought I was focused on at home, or me doing this over here isn't going to affect my household, it did.
Mm.
And she told me, like, hey, I'm doing, like, we would tell each other about each other's faults and then not listen to each other. And over time, we would have periods where we were really, really good,
Yeah.
but then the bad was also really, really bad. And the bad kind of, it came to a head 2016, 2017. We were actually at a really good point. and we had dropped our kids off at we had two kids at the time, and then she was pregnant with our third. We had
Okay.
dropped the kids off at her mom's house, and we went on a date. I was in the military at the time. I had just come back from like 2 months of training, and we were good. We were reconnecting and everything like that. So we went on a date, a nice date. Date went great.
Yeah.
Come back, we go. She go inside to pick up or to get the kids. Kids were asleep, so she grabbed one, I grabbed the other. She went back inside to go talk to her mom for a few minutes. I'm thinking they're just getting caught up on whatever happened, while we was out. Come back inside. Next thing you know, we were arguing about something. I couldn't tell you what, at this point, I couldn't tell you what we were arguing
Yeah.
about, but it went
It never is
really
important.
good. Right. Like, we were good, and then we were arguing. And we argued the entire way home. And it got to a head where at this point I was kind of like fed up, and
Yeah.
we were probably right around the corner from the house. Like, you could literally like look and you see the house like right over there. And for whatever reason, her aggressive side just kind of came out, and she went and tried to swerve the wheel.
Mm.
And I was sitting here like, maintain control of the wheel. We got two kids in the back seat. You got
Yeah.
inside you. I got to make sure that we don't crash or
Crap.
worse.
Yeah.
So I get control of the car, stop the car, physically get out the car, because in the military, um, you don't really get many chances.
Mm.
And we had already been through most of my chances.
Mm.
So I'm following the advice of my superior officers, where if we get into an issue, step away, walk away, do what I got to do. So knowing that the house was in our eyesight, I was just like, I can't do this. So I parked the car on the side of the road, put the hazard lights on and everything like that. I know where it's like, and I tried to get out of the car. I turned the car off, which maybe I shouldn't have, but I turned the car off, and I went to try to grab the keys, and she tried to grab the keys from me. And basically, she kind of pulled my arm to where my arm kind of like hit her in the stomach.
Yeah.
And of course, that's, it's a whole big thing, because now she's going and telling everybody that I hit her in her stomach
Yeah.
while
You
she's
had to,
pregnant,
yeah.
and it was a whole big thing.
Yeah.
Fast forward probably 20 minutes. At this point, I had done completely walked off. Like, I gave her the keys. I had completely walked off. Walked to the gas station. Was like, look, I'm just going to go cool my head, because that's what I was told to do. I'm not trying to deal with the military on top of everything else I got to deal with at home. So my sergeant calls me, and I'm just like, dang, I
Mm.
did exactly what they told me to do, and I still couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
So they told me, it was like, hey man, what's going on? I know they already know, but he wants to hear it from my mouth.
Yeah.
I told him what's going on. He was like, hey man, I'm gonna need you to go back to the house. And I'm like, but you just told me, you know, to walk away. Now you're telling me to walk back.
Mm.
So I'm, I'm nervous, because I'm like, if you telling me to walk back, something ain't good.
Yeah.
Something wrong. So I get back. Somehow her mama had done made it on base, which I still don't understand how she got on base. But she was there already at the house.
Yeah.
Police was there. Ambulance was there. She getting taken away in the ambulance. Her mama mad because apparently, I done hit her child. And keep
Mm.
in mind, her mama and them just argued like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And that was their argument is what started our argument.
Yeah.
But now her mama like, oh, you don't hit my child, da da da. Da. And I got pretty much whisked away in handcuffs. And that was essentially like the beginning of the end of my military career.
Mm.
Because military, they don't play at
Yeah.
all. Woman says something domestic
It
violence
doesn't
related,
matter what you say
like,
after that.
yeah, like it doesn't really matter too much after that. So even after all of that, we couldn't talk. There was a restraining order put in between us for a long time, even though neither one of us were paying it no attention. We kept talking. We kept getting in trouble for it, and eventually we stopped because they were like, "Look, we're gonna send you both to jail long term if you guys don't stop talking to each other during this period." So
Mm.
eventually we stopped, and it was not until after I was processed out of the military that I was allowed to talk back to her.
Mm.
Um, which it was interesting because ultimately neither one of us got in trouble, but because of the incident, we had to go and take parenting classes, and marriage counseling classes, of course. Like we had the
Yeah.
individual counseling, marriage counseling, and parenting classes. And the judge pretty much essentially took custody away from us. Um,
Mm,
she just took custody of our kids away from us until all of that was completed.
mm,
So we completed the parenting counseling. We completed the marriage counseling. I completed my individual portion of the counseling. But in order for us to, and we had got to the point where we had visitation rights to our kids, but her mom had the kids while we were doing all of this stuff.
mm.
So I've completed my individual counseling, but she needed to improve within her individual counseling for the judge to see that okay, we've learned from our the errors of our ways and everything like that, and they
Yeah.
were able to give us the kid back. But that never happened,
Mm,
and they would not grant me custody because I'm the one that supposedly caused the whole thing in the first place. And they would not grant her custody because she would not complete her classes. So it ended up being a situation where the kids are like processed into the system, but they're under the custody of their grandmother.
okay.
And that's fine, but it's also not because now I don't have my kids. She doesn't have my kids. And her grandmother hates me, has always hated me.
Yeah.
So that's going to cause issues.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it was that long back and forth cycle, and it got to a point where things didn't get worse, but things didn't get better. Now because I wasn't working in the military anymore, I had to go find another job, which
Mm,
in Texas was easy, but a good paying job was hard.
mm. Yeah.
And I tried a few different things. I had a good job, a good position at the mall that I was working at, and I was able to get us an apartment because ultimately we both needed a place to live. She couldn't stay with her mom because of the whole custody thing. Um, so she was with me. We got an apartment. We were doing a thing, trying to work on us while trying to, get everything together and essentially rebuild. Plus the fact that she still has our third child on the way, and she's like a month or two away from, getting ready to have a baby.
Mm. Okay.
So getting through that period was still kind of hard because at this point I'm the only one working now. Where both of us were working, now I'm the only one working.
Yeah.
And my income now isn't like what it was a few months before. So the judge was kind of like, well, you guys aren't stable enough to have the kids back. So
Mm.
essentially granted full custody of my kids to her mom.
Wow.
And my mom at the time didn't really make things any better because over the first, pretty much from the moment I told my mom I was having my first kid
Hmm.
until honestly, really just a few years ago, my mom wasn't really trying to be involved,
Mm.
which really kind of hurt. It put a strain on my relationship with my mom for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, like, she didn't like my ex either, but she tried her best to be cordial for the most part. They butted heads a lot, especially while I was gone in training. But me and my mom ended up butting heads over a few things too. But her essentially feeling like she was too young to be a grandmother. And she didn't want to be referred to as any type of grandparent or anything like that. And we were both like, okay, well, my kids are not calling you mom or any variants of mom, mama, anything like that. And
Yeah.
even though her and I are butting heads, I'm going to give her the respect because she's still their mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So me and my mom butt heads for a while, which means she wasn't really helped when it came to the whole custody thing.
Mm.
And she was just like, I don't want to say she was like pretending to care about it because, I'm not, going to speak on how she actually felt or not.
Yeah.
But she wasn't necessarily trying to actively be a part of their life at that time.
Mm.
And so it was really hard because I really felt like I was on my own.
Yeah.
A lot of my family members weren't really around. Like they kind of stopped, talking to me as much when they found out that I was having a kid and
Mm.
got married to someone that I didn't really know very long. And so I really felt like I was on my own. And yeah, she had her family, but all I had also was her family who didn't like me. And the only person that I really had in my corner was my best friend, was Jabari. And
Shout out to Jabari too, my guy.
that man held me down like no other. I pretty much owe him my life because honestly, I was at a point where I was ready to go because I lost my job, I lost my house, I lost two cars, I lost my apartment, I lost my kids. I was pretty much losing my wife at the time too.
Yeah.
I had nothing. I had nothing. I had no support. I had nothing at all. I was genuinely ready to go. Like I did not have a saving grace. Felt like everything and everybody had turned on me, pretty much accepted. And to this day, like when I say like I genuinely owe him my life, it is 100% that. Like there's nothing. I don't know if there's anything I can do to repay the impact that he had on my life in keeping me afloat, physically, financially, mentally, everything.
Yeah.
And also having to personally deal with her too,
Yeah.
because she was still with me, and she also, and of course, she knew him through me.
Yeah.
So, he would have his moments where he would try to talk to her too.
Yeah.
But, there's only, so much that you can do with someone that's just young and inexperienced and immature.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel comfortable with how much he had to be pretty much a part of my life. Just as my best friend, I hated that I had to rely on him so much.
Yeah.
And like I look back on it now, I'm grateful that he was there.
Yeah.
Because if I really didn't have anybody, I don't know that I'd be here. Because at that time I did make that attempt.
Yeah.
I felt helpless, lost. So that period of my life was a really, really dark time for me. And in the years following, having had to, move a couple of times, couch surf a couple of times, my relationship with the mother of my kids went back and forth.
Yeah.
Like we improved, like we were always good as friends. But if it had anything to do with our relationship, either as husband and wife or as co-parents or anything like that, it would always go left. And it was just like we would be from going good to be good. And then now we're not on good terms. Now we're not talking for weeks at a time. And because her mom has custody of my kids, her mom didn't want me nowhere around them. Which means she was my only connection to the kids. And she couldn't do anything with me involved around the kids if she was around her mom. So it was a back and forth of I'm using this person, I'm using her to communicate with the kids, and she knows it's my only way to get to them. So she was being manipulative in the things that she could try to get off of me in exchange for me being able to see my kids. So at the time, I didn't care. I wasn't thinking nothing of it. I would do anything for my kids.
Of course.
And I made a lot of bad decisions. When I did finally get back on my feet, I was pretty much throwing money at her, allowing her to like go on shopping trips. Even if it was something like if she said she was doing something for the kids, that's where I kind of like buckled down. I'm like, okay, well, show me, because I knew she was like wasting money on other things and clothes and whatever else. But if it has something to do with kids, okay, well, you're gonna get on FaceTime with me, and I need to see you making these purchases.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just gonna go and throw this money at you that you say is for the kids, but it's not for the kids. So, oh, he wants this bike. Let me see you go to the bike section of Walmart and see you getting this bike, or these clothes or whatever it is that they need. Like, and then when she's walking to the register, then I would be like, okay, well, I'm gonna send you the money now. So, I was being responsible when it came to them, but I was also still being irresponsible financially because I was in a sense still taking care of her when I shouldn't have been. Like I wasn't
So
on
how?
child support or anything. So it was just me throwing money at her to stay on her good graces.
Well, I want to first of all salute to you, right? Salute to you, man, just because that's a lot to deal with. And one, I thank God that you are here and we are able to have this conversation, and for you to be the help and help someone with your story. But I want to ask you, man, is just a backtrack on some of the stuff because I know you said some of the stuff you could have did as well. Actually, you said a few things, but the thing that stood out because I know you said like you were always saying yes, right? And when, in a sense, even though you and your ex weren't really together or whatever y'all were doing, obviously, like you said, you're trying to you're kind of not throwing money at the problem, but you're trying to give money just so you can be involved with your kids,
Yeah.
right? You're trying to, and so and she knew that, so she knows. Okay, I know he's going to say yes to this. I know he's going to say yes to this, right? And so I want to ask you, man, like because you have such a good heart too, have you learned over time, like just in general, have you learned to be better with your nose?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, and it took me a very long time. Like even in my relationship now, like now we're married, but you know, years into this relationship because we've been together for 7.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So the first few years into this relationship, while I'm over here saying yes to everything that my ex has me doing so I can maintain that relationship with my kids, I'm also trying to repair my relationship with my family
Mm-hmm.
and my baby sister growing up and my mom needs me to do this or can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Or, I need you to drive 30 minutes down the road so you can go and test drive this car and see if it's good enough for your sister's first car. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, I'm working full
Yeah.
time and you're 3 hours away and you got this whole city of cars that you could, choose from. But you're gonna choose a car, all by me, and I got to go test drive this car. And then what happens if I think this car is good enough? Are you coming to pick up the car? Am I bringing the car to you? Like, and sure enough, it was, can you bring this car to, or can you, pay for the car? Or I'll send you the money to go pick up the car, pay for the car, and then drive it. I'll meet you halfway. And my wife, she was just like you do you realize like you go and you will forego anything that you have going on and anything that we have going on, and you would just go and just if she tells you to do something or she asks you to do something, you would just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was frustrated both that she was getting upset,
Yeah.
and I was frustrated that I was also doing it, and I knew I was doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, after that, because I went ahead and did it because it was for my baby sister.
Yeah.
And so I did that for her. But after that, it was really kind of like, I need to change.
Mm.
And I did not realize how hard it was to start saying no. Like whether it was in my relationship, whether it was at work, because
Yeah.
like I said, I'm a really nice guy. I was a workhorse. I was working
Mm.
6, 7 days a week. If they needed me at work, I was there. If somebody called
Yeah.
out, I was there. You need somebody to come early, I got you. You need somebody to stay late, I got you. And my health started declining because I was always at work.
Mm.
And I actually got hurt on the job. I was at the time I was driving trucks. I was a vendor, and I was our best driver. It was a small company. We delivered ice,
Mm.
and we had a bunch of local areas like within Savannah, and then we had a
Yeah.
couple of further out spots, and then we had one route specifically that was like out towards Macon and Augusta and Atlanta. I was the one driver that knew every route. I was
Mm.
also helping our dispatcher optimize every route. So if another driver wasn't able to be there, I was the one taking their route.
Mm.
But the thing with the other drivers is all the other drivers had help. I was solo. I was always by myself.
Wow.
So trying to do all of their routes by myself, like their routes they can get done in like 4 hours, whereas it would take me 8.
Mm.
So now I'm doing all of their routes, but nobody's covering for my routes, which means I still have to do my routes.
Yeah.
And one day it was probably early August, 104 degrees outside. I'm on one of my routes, one of my heavier routes for the day, for the week. I think it was at my next to last stop, and I'm loading up, parked, and I'm loading up my cart to take it to where I need to drop the ice off at. And fill up the cart, get ready to get off the back of the truck, lift off. I was exhausted. I had been up. It was like 4:30 at the time. I had been up since 4:30 in the morning, and I'm drenched in sweat. I'm drenched in sweat, covered in blood, covered in dirt, and I'm by myself. My phone was inside the truck, so I couldn't call for help, and I was just laying there on the ground in pain, and my leg that got hurt was the same leg that I had gotten injured from when I was in the military. So now I'm like, okay, I really hope I didn't just re-injure an already really bad injury.
Yeah.
And so it took about 10 minutes before somebody on that site actually saw me, like laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And I was trying, like, the adrenaline was kind of like kicking in at that point. I'm trying to see if I can stand up and get on or get to my phone so I can call my boss and be like, hey, this happened.
Yeah.
And they was like, do you need help? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm hobbling. I fell off the truck. I'm hurt. And you can tell, like, I was probably trying my hardest not to cry.
Yeah.
But that was when when I finally got to my phone and made that phone call, I was like, I am doing too much. And I finally had to be like, look, I have to take a lighter load. I can't keep doing all of this. I have to take my days off. Like, you guys can't keep calling me on my days off. It was just, I really had to, like, kind of put my foot down. And of course I had to take time off too, because now I have to nurse this injury, and I was out for almost a month.
Oh, wow.
Thankfully nothing was broken. But I did have a couple of torn ligaments that I needed to let heal. But after I came back, they pretty much tried to, throw the kitchen sink at me again. And I was just like, no, I can't. Like, you guys know, I just came back from dealing with this. I can't do all of these things that you guys want me to do. I would like to help you, but if I don't put myself first, this stuff is going to happen again. Y'all already don't give me the help that everybody else gets. And now either you're going to give me this help, or I need to take a step back and not do as much for you guys as I've been doing, not push myself as hard as I've been pushing myself. And it felt good to do that. I was worried about my job, about losing my job, but they understood enough to where I was just like, they knew they needed me. And they also knew that I was serious about needing to step back, because I pretty much did everything. And they knew I pretty much did everything. And for the field, it's a very customer-facing job, doing what I do. And a lot of their clientele that they had at the time was either because of me, or I saved them. Saved that relationship that was, starting to be close to cutting ties. And they were willing to work with me, but pretty much only because I said no. Because, yeah, they would have, worked with me if I said, yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. But when they realized that I was serious about, hey, I need help this day, or, hey, I can't do this, or I'm not going to do this, they started understanding and started to work around me. And as I was healing, I was starting to see more progress in me actually putting my foot down on some things. And I started noticing that even with, like, outside of work, even with, my family and with the mother of my kids, it was just kind of like one thing after another. I really kind of just started putting my foot down all over the place. And it didn't feel good
Real
at
quick,
first.
real quick, real
Yeah.
quick. We gonna put a pin. If you don't mind,
Yeah,
can we do a
yeah.
part two? Okay, real quick, cause I know some of y'all attention span. I know how y'all are. Okay, so this is part one. But before I close this out too, this is a good reminder to the fathers out there, right? At the end of the day, we constantly want to provide, we constantly want to help others, right? And so We just got to make sure that we're putting ourselves the priority, right? We have to make sure we're a priority first, because no one's going to look out for us like we're going to look out for us. Yeah. And so that's a key right there. But this is part one, y'all. Again, like always, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.